Hey guys, welcome back to GCSE Biology. Today we're looking at hearts, we're looking at what they're like, what they do and how they get the job done. Inside a human heart there are 4 chambers, 2 at the top and 2 at the bottom. Now the 2 at the top are called the atria, it's the Latin word for hallway, the atrium, and so that's where the blood enters. The first thing that comes into the heart is it comes into the atria, and then later it goes on to the ventricles. And the ventricles is where it's sent out of the heart to other parts of the body. And you've got a left side and you've got a right side. So the left side deals with the oxygenated blood and the right side deals with the deoxygenated blood, the blood that has no oxygen in it. And so at the top we have a left atrium and a right atrium, and at the bottom we have a left ventricle and a right ventricle. Down the middle between the two there's something called a septum. Now you may have heard of a septum piercing, where you get that bit in between your nose pierced. Now all a septum is, it's just something that separates 2 chambers. And so the septum in your nose separates the 2 nostrils, and the septum in your heart separates the 2 chambers. The ventricles for left and right, it separates the 2 of them, and the same with the atria. One thing to add is it can be a little bit tricky to get the left and right side the right way around, because when you're looking at it on a page, you might think, hang on, that's the left side of my page, and yet it's the right side of the heart. The thing to remember is that you're looking at someone's heart on this diagram, and so what is their left and what is their right? And so just imagine if someone was standing looking at you and that was their heart on display, what would be their left or their right? That's more important than what you see. Now let's walk through the way that blood goes through the heart. So the main vein going into the heart is the vena cava. It collects up all the blood, the deoxygenated blood that has lost its oxygen to respiration around the body. They all gather together into the vena cava, and that goes into the heart, into the right atrium. Remember, the right side is the side that has deoxygenated blood. So once it's inside the right atrium, this deoxygenated blood moves through one of these atrioventricular valves into the right ventricle, and then that gets sent somewhere where it can pick up some oxygen. You think, where am I going to get oxygen into my body? It's going to be the lungs. So it goes from the right ventricle up to the lungs, where you can breathe in some oxygen and oxygenate that blood. Now the vessel that takes it away from the heart, going away from the heart, is an artery, and this one, it's an artery going to the lungs, so it's the pulmonary artery. Pulmonary in this case means lungs, so anything to do with the lungs in this case is pulmonary. Now when it gets to the lungs, it's going to pick up this oxygen and come all the way back round into the heart again to get another burst of push to send it all the way around the body. So it comes into the heart, into a vein, veins go in, arteries go away, it's going through the veins into the heart. And again, because it's coming from the lungs this time, it's something pulmonary. So it's going to be the pulmonary vein going into the heart. This time it's going into the left side because it's oxygenated, and it's going into the left atrium. That sends it through to the left ventricle, and then it is pushed out of the left ventricle around the body. Now it goes out through an artery, arteries go away, and it goes out through the biggest artery in your body, the aorta. Now the aorta splits up quite easily, but it's a really chunky artery. It carries blood under really high pressure, so it can get all the way around the body as quickly as possible, carrying that precious oxygen cargo for respiration. Now we mentioned briefly earlier about this atrioventricular valve. There are actually lots of different types of valves in the heart. There are 2 main types, semilunar valves, and they are in the arteries between the ventricle and artery to make sure that the blood goes in one direction only. And so this is what a valve does, it sends blood in one direction only, and it stops any backflow. So when the ventricles contract, blood goes out of the artery and it can't come back into the heart. We've got another type of valve, an atrioventricular valve. Sometimes they're called tricuspid and bicuspid, and they go from the atria to the ventricles to make sure that blood goes just in that direction. It doesn't go back into the atria or back into a vein. It goes only one way round this heart system. Now we'll go into more detail about this in an A-level video about the heart and things like the cardiac cycle, where we talk about systole and diastole and a few more complicated things about the electrical activity of the heart. For now, that's the rough idea of what you need to know for GCSE. If you've got any questions, then pop them in the comments below and I'll do my best to answer them. And if you haven't seen it already, then I do a heart dissection on my channel, so do check out that video. I'll leave a link in the description as well. Thank you so much for watching and sticking around. I really appreciate it. Do subscribe if you'd like to, leave a comment, say hello, and I'll see you in the next video.